So that's a short introduction on what we will do today. Then, of course, we will introduce ourselves. My name is Marcel van Alphen. I'm from Leiden. I'm currently working for the Port of Rotterdam to do a data management setup there. So how to manage your data, make sure that everything is in there correctly, which is very important, because if your data structure or data input is incorrect, you cannot visualize your data. So it's actually the build-up to make a nice visualization of your data. I have a background in logistics. I worked 5 years for a return logistics company, a very interesting company where all the returns of global big companies were organized. So make sure that everything is returned to the right return center, make sure that everything is checked. There was a lot of data available there, and we created a lot of insights with Tableau there, and that's where I gained my knowledge of Tableau. Furthermore, I'm really interested in soccer. So I play soccer on a very low level, but it's more for fun. For the rest, I like to do cycling. So race cycling, and I like to travel a lot, although at this moment that's not possible. So that's a short introduction of me. And then we go to Jeffrey.
Yes. So I'm Jeffrey van Eyck. I'm 29 years old and I live in Vught, as you can see, which is a place close to Den Bosch. I've been working as a interim marketing intelligence analyst, as they call it at Holland Casino, because I started at the marketing department just to make some dashboards for their marketing campaigns. But since they know what Tableau is and what Tableau brings to the company, I actually shifted to Tableau consultant. Next to marketing, I also build finance dashboard at the moment. So it's pretty fast how it went within Holland Casino. Well, I started in marketing because I have a background in marketing. So that's why we differ as a background. But as you can see, it doesn't matter what background you have or what data knowledge you have. As soon as you start working with Tableau and nice data sets, you can visualize everything you want with just a few simple steps. So I think it's pretty hands-on what we're going to do today. So everyone can join. As hobbies, I like to play basketball. I've been playing it for around 20 years now. I like to do some fitness, and I love to watch crime series on Netflix. So if you have any tips, feel free to type them in the chat. So I guess that's us.
Yeah, just a short further introduction that actually we work together and we are colleagues at Elastiq. So Elastiq-Connect, you can see it here in the background, is the company where we work for. It's a consultancy company, so that's why he's working at Holland Casino and I'm working at the Port of Rotterdam. And we actually joined the company maybe in an 8 months difference or something. So he was earlier at the company than I was. And then we sat together and we actually realized that we both had quite a few knowledge of Tableau. And then we decided to set up a training in Tableau. And that's actually where this is coming from. So we also give trainings, and we also will show you in the end that we do some masterclasses of Tableau. So if you want further knowledge, we will show you in the end how you can gain this knowledge. Yeah. But that's the background of us. So that's the story of how Jeffrey and I came to this training. Yeah. Yeah, so first of all, we will discuss actually what the value is of Tableau. So the most important feature of Tableau is really the data visualization. Only before you do this data visualization, you have to work on your data validation. This is not something we will clearly discuss today. We will more look at the visualizations and how to create them. But we want to make sure that you are fully aware of that of the necessity that you have your data correctly in the system. Because if your data is not set up correctly, and that's also where I'm working on at the Port of Rotterdam right now, if your setup is incorrect, your visualizations will be crap in the end. And therefore, the data validation and the data preparation is also an important part. We are at the data science conference, so I think you all know about this or have at least more than average knowledge about this. So, but we just want to highlight that although we will show you visualizations, it's very important that you have your preparations in place as well. Furthermore, Tableau is a visualization tool that works on the front end. So it means that if you create something, it will be deployed to an online version of Tableau where other people can actually look into it. So if you work for a company and you are a Tableau visualization builder, you will probably work in an online tool and on the desktop, and then we'll deploy it to an online tool where all others can look at your visualizations. The deployment can be very regular, so it can be like every hour, so it can be almost real time, but it can also be on a daily or a monthly basis. It's depending on what you want. So Tableau is quite flexible in that sense that you can actually use it the way you want, and you can also give access to people or certain rights to people to view something and other people to have other insights, because not the whole business is involved with all the dashboards that you will create. Mm-hmm. So that's yeah, in a short way how you will set up Tableau.
Yeah, and please, to add to that, please keep in mind that Tableau is just a tool for visualization, as you have Power BI, for instance, or Qlik. But what's stated on the top of this image, please make sure before you start visualization that you understand the business and that you understand what's in the data. Because what we often encounter is that our managers ask something because they just want a nice visualization, but they don't know what to do with this visual. So please make sure that before you even start, get a conversation going on what they actually want to have and what the actions are based on the visualization. So then you can have really added value. Yeah, I guess that's in short, in a nutshell, what Tableau is. Actually, the position of Tableau.
So yeah, actually the first part of what is Tableau, well, we shortly discussed this already, but so Tableau is really a visualization tool that helps you to understand data better, to actually make sure that the insights are viewed in a certain way that you can directly see what the impact is of something happening, or directly see what is happening in the data. So if you have just a normal table of data, you cannot see what is happening, and the visualizations are helping you to get more insights. And that's also what we will show you today, actually, on the data sets that we created, and on the data that we will show you how fast and how nice your visualizations can be, and what insights they can give you. So then on Tableau, where does Tableau stand in the market? So there are a couple of actual tools that are used, and one of the main ones is, of course, Power BI. It's one of the the mainly used tools, but another one that's really coming up, and that's what we were showing you today, mm-hmm. is Tableau. And Tableau is really gaining market share. There is some big difference between Tableau and Power BI. First of all, it's a cost difference. That's Power BI is, we have to admit, cheaper than Tableau. Only Tableau is, the scalability is very good. The licensing is very flexible, so you can get as much license as you want to. You can just change the license, or you can, you can scale up quite fast, and that's a bit different in Power BI. I like the visualizations in Tableau more because you can really adjust them to how you want to make them look and make them feel, which is also a big difference. For the rest, yeah, I would say that's our experience. So yeah, and as it says at the bottom, both Tableau and Power BI are great tools to get business insights. They are both good tools to actually make visualizations. We just chose to show you Tableau because we're working with it. Mm-hmm. But if you want to get more knowledge on Power BI, we also have that in our business. So if you are interested in that part, you can also let us know, and we have colleagues that you can help you out with that as well. But we will focus today mainly on Tableau.
Yeah, for a company, we just want to advise whatever tool you want to use, just make sure you make a decision. Because what we often see in companies that the marketing part uses Tableau, for instance, and the IT department uses Power BI, and then you get both licenses on your business, which is extra costly, which you don't want. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you have different ways of using Tableau. It can be a server-based version of Tableau. It can be a cloud-based version of Tableau. It can be data files or just file-based. It's actually what, yeah, in our case, it's mostly what the company chooses to. We do give them advice, what we think is the best options or what our knowledge is of what we have used in the past. So you can help companies with that if you have worked with it previously. I have to admit that actually all data sources work, yeah, fine. I like the cloud-based because it's just an easy way of getting your stuff and sharing. That's really the main, yeah, advantage of that one. So in Tableau you have two things that you need to make sure that you understand. There are different licenses in Tableau. So you have a creator license, meaning you are able to create visualizations and to make visualizations. Yeah, it's actually shown better here. So we have a Tableau creator license, which is $70 per month. It will give you the rights to create the visualizations that we will show you today. It gives you the right to publish them online. It makes sure, and actually other people can access them online on your online or cloud-based data. Then we have Tableau Explorer, which means you can actually see the data. You cannot build the data. You can modify the data, but it's really in a small amount.
Yeah, true.
And then you have the Tableau Viewer license, which actually is only viewing the dashboards that are created by others. You cannot modify them. You can only see them. Yeah, that's mostly for other departments of companies just to see what you created. So in our departments, we all have a Tableau creator license. Then you have some Explorer licenses of people that are involved with data and want to see certain parts of the data so that they can structure it and actually change it, modify it a little bit. And then you have the viewer, and that is mostly the rest of the company that can only see the dashboards that are relevant to their side of the business. So that's the structure that mostly is in place with Tableau. Then we will show you how to get your data in Tableau. It's really easy to get your data into Tableau. You can see that there's a lot of different files that can be accessed by Tableau. So here you can see if you connect your data, which we will show you a bit later as well, you can choose from many different tools, and there actually are more, because as you can see, there is an option more as well. Tableau can be connected to any form of data, and that makes it really easy to use because it doesn't matter in what form you get your data and what kind of file. There's probably a way to connect it, and if there's not, there's on the internet a way to connect it anyway. Yep. So yeah, that's really a big advantage of Tableau. You can connect all kinds of data to your tool, and then you can actually get your visualizations. So yeah, that's what we will show you in the second part. So here's a bit of a background on what Tableau looks like. This is just a starting page of Tableau where we shortly actually explain what part of Tableau does what. So this is if you load your data, you can see there is a data source at the bottom on the left side. Yeah, there is where the data that you put in will be shown. It's now showing the first sheet of the data. So on this sheet, you can actually see already visualizations. So on this sheet, it shows you in the dimensions which dimensions are loaded in. So you see that at the top, which is marked out. Then you see the measures, because what Tableau does, it automatically split your data into dimensions and measures, where measures is mostly numbers and dimensions are features that actually group the numbers by a certain grouping. Then you have the part where you can filters, marks, and shelves. And what is really nice with Tableau is you can actually drag and drop. So you can drag one of your dimensions into the filters, you can drag them into the pages, into the marks, and it will directly show you a visualization, which will be we will demo shortly. So this is really the starting page. And what I really like about Tableau, it's really user friendly. So it's really, if you understand how it's built up and how it's set up, it's really and it really speaks for itself. So that is really the nice thing about Tableau. So this is a short introduction, but we will show you later as well. We just want to have a little insight already for you, that you have an idea of what it looks like, and then we will demo further.
Yeah. So far, do we have any questions?
I don't see questions in the chat.
We only see that the sound is okay, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, so if you have any questions during the talk, just to mention again, just put them in the chat. We will look at certain periods like this one, just to check, okay, what are the questions, and we will answer your questions. Well, not all of them. We have, of course, made choices if there are a lot, but if there are a few questions, we can answer them at these points, and then we will continue with the training.
Yeah. So what do we have? We do have the casino case. This is actually a real case which I encountered at Holland Casino. But because of privacy, we had to make this data fictitious. So actually look and feel the dashboard is exactly how it is at Holland Casino, but I removed the logo and I removed the real data, just to make sure that we won't share any data which is not which I don't want to. So what we had when I came in at Holland Casino, we got this dashboard, which is like a KPI dashboard for marketing. And as you can see, they had several KPIs running, for which they had the reality, the actuals, they had a target, and they had last year. Unfortunately, it's in Dutch, but this is called last year. And what they did for several KPIs, they just by putting on location, a certain period, a month, and a year, you could see what score those KPIs got. And based on a color, it kind of indicates whether it was good or bad, the scoring of KPI. But as you can see, it's pretty static. You can drop down or drill down in any of those elements. You get no intuitive indicators whether a realization is good or bad. Yeah, you just got a color, but whenever it's green, you don't see how good it is. And if you get like 52,000, you don't know whether it's better than last month or not, or how the trend is going. And what one of the biggest issues was that this was for the total, but whenever I wanted to compare locations, you couldn't see what the development was of different locations. You couldn't make any comparison. And to top it was really slow. Every single selection took like a minute to load. So that's why they asked me, okay, Jeffrey, can you please show us another inside of this? Because we want to have the same KPIs, but those are all the points we have to work on. So please show me how we could develop this. And what I created was something different. I will give you, let's get back. I will give you a live demo later on, but as you can see, just from the very first point, you can easily see what a kind of KPI is about. You can see a score for every month and year-to-date score, and you could intuitively see whether a target or last year is is reached or not, and with what percentage. So it's like straight on from the first page. It's really easy to see how it's going. And what I created is that you can drill down on those KPIs. Therefore, I have to shift to the KPI dashboard. This is exactly what it looks like. For instance,
Online. Yeah.
Online, yeah. So what we actually did is maybe it's nice to see. We got into Tableau Online, which looks like this. And what you could do through Explore, this is like a map we made especially for you guys. But for a company, this could be a department, or it could be like a specific project in which you could save your dashboards. So what we did, we created several dashboards we'll look into further, but this is the commercial KPI dashboard. A manager could click on this and just click through to open the dashboard. I hope it's loading now, because it did. Yeah, there we go. So this is the dashboard where you're looking at right now. And as I said, it's pretty intuitive to see what happened, because the realization of this figure is 34, where the target was 27. So you can see you reach a target with 25% more than it should be. And that's the first part of really going through the dashboard and see what happens with each KPI. But as I said, you want to see development. You want to see a trend. So what you could do is just click on a KPI. And let me just pick a KPI. And here you can see what the trend is of this KPI. As you can see, we'll look at 2019, for instance, for this example. And you can see the actual in blue, the target in orange, and in light gray, you can see what you did last year. And what you can see directly is that on this KPI, you often do it better than what you got your target and better than last year. Again, you can hover over with your mouse and see what the actual value is of this KPI. But what if you are only interested in what you do year to date? Because maybe it's like what you did last month, but we can't see how far we are ahead of target. So you can just click the button year to date, and the dashboard will show you the year to date figures. So that's what we created for each KPI in this dashboard. Another figure was that you wanted to compare locations. So we added a button, which is called Toon alle vestigingen in Dutch. When you click on that, you can see the different locations. Our head office, or the total, was colored in a different color, so you can see which location did it better or worse than the average. And here's what you can see. When you want to compare different locations in the graph below, you can just easily click on them. For example, Breda and Eindhoven. And now you can see how they develop over time. This is against the target, this is against last year. So this is very easy tool for the manager. For instance, when you are the manager of Venlo and you want to compare yourself with Casino Valkenburg, you can just click on it and see what happened. Same goes for year to date, in which you can see how it goes year to date. Of course, this is the total, so it's way higher than the rest. But here's the same. You can also click on Valkenburg and Venlo, and you can see how they do it cumulative. So this is what we built for Holland Casino, just to really zoom in on their KPIs, see how they go, compare them with our other locations. And this is actually what is printed and sent to some managers. And what my manager also asked if we could show the visualizations just in once, just for this, but then all the trend lines. So I made also an overview. And when you click on that, you can easily see, well, this one is hidden for some reason, but you can also see the development of each KPI in one single view. What you can do when you are looking through the dashboard, you can easily click on download, and you can download it as a PDF, which makes it easy for you to share your visualization as a PDF with a group of people. This is often for the ones that aren't that data savvy, because the managers that are like data minded, you can just give a login to this dashboard and they can click to it themselves. Yeah, so this is actually what we made for Holland Casino, in which you can see the monthly figures, the year-to-date figures, comparison along with locations. So that's what we. It's just a quick insight on how to use Tableau for a company. We will see if there are any questions now when we get back to the presentation, because after this we will go more into depth about COVID-19, and we'll show you hands-on how to create some of those dashboards. So it's yeah, we get you to work.
Yeah, so in the rest it will be less talking us and more also you to actually try out the data and see how it works for you and how you can actually gain some knowledge from your data. First of all, the questions that we have, I see one from Anna, which she said, she asks, do your clients ask you for the editable files or just the final dashboard? Well, it's really depending. So some departments are really wanting the editable files. So for instance, if you are creating an operations dashboard, the operations department mostly wants the editable files where they can just quickly change some features and still get the insights that they want to see without asking you to create a new dashboard. But for instance, if other departments also want to use those operational files, they don't have the access to actually modify them. So they can really only see the dashboards that we created and they cannot modify those. So that's a bit of and it's also depending on the business, because now I'm talking about my experience, but maybe Jeffrey's experience is different.
Yeah, what I experienced is that like my manager at home, because she just wants to have a dashboard to look into, and she actually doesn't bother about what files are behind it. She just wants to see some insights. For example, this KPI dashboard, and she just let me do it, and she just wanted to see the final version of the dashboard. And whenever she has some question or she wants to see something different, she just comes to me and asks me if I can change the dashboard or just dig deeper into certain insights. So yeah, what Marcel says really depends on what your stakeholder wants.
Yeah, but most of all, you don't want people to edit files where they don't have the knowledge of. So always be aware that if you want to give somebody rights to edit a file, please check if they are knowledgeable about the dashboard that you created. If they're not knowledgeable, please don't give them edit rights, because they will mash up your file, and you don't want that. So keep that in mind for yourself as well. If you create something, is this person or is this department knowledgeable about what I created? If not, then you should not give them the rights. So it's also a bit on yourself. So you need to check for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Then we have another question from Sanchez. He asks, which tips do you have to make your dashboards run faster? Well, that's really a side topic that we will not discuss that much this time, but it's really a good question. So,
well, we can give some quick insights on how to make it faster. We won't go into deep because we don't have enough time for that.
Yeah.
But be aware that, for example, whenever you have calculations, whenever you calculate a certain metric within Tableau, it makes your dashboards go much slower. So if you have a calculation where you can do in the backend, please make sure you put it in the backend.
Yeah.
And get rid of all the data you don't need in your dashboard. So what we do at Hold Casino, we only take those columns we need from certain dashboards and make a new table just for the dashboard, so that we only have the data we need with the calculations we want, just to make sure that Tableau is real faster. And there are some more points, but I think we...
Yeah, and also a useful tool for preparing your data, which is very important for how fast it will work, is Tableau Prep. This is not something that we will discuss today, but if you want to get more insights on that topic, you can either look online or you can ask us separately and we can give you some advice there as well. But Tableau Prep is really a good tool that will help you out with preparing your data and making sure that you do the right joins, because certain joins are faster than other joins, and it will help you to figure out what is the fastest way to get your separate files together and make sure that your data works as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Then I see one last question, and that is it possible to give different access level to different users? Yeah, we shortly discussed this, but yes, you can give separate rights to separate departments or even on individuals. So you can change the rights for every individual to see some dashboards, to modify dashboards, to actually download dashboards. So you can really change a lot and modify a lot. Sometimes this is also a bit of a pain, because it's really sometimes you give rights to people that you shouldn't give rights to, but everything is possible. So that's really also, yeah, it's a pain, but also a pleasure that you can do it like that.
Yeah, and you can group your users. For example, if you have a whole group of financials within the company, you can just easily flag them with the group financials and make sure all financials get the same rights. So you don't have to do it by person. But yeah, it's real good. What Marcel says, you really have to be aware which person you give which rights. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, answer to the questions, you can give different rights to different people on the lowest level possible.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Then we want to go on with the hands-on case on COVID-19. First of all, we want to take you through some visualizations we made. And after that, we want to ask you to open Tableau Desktop yourself. We asked you to download Tableau Desktop, the application. So if you have it downloaded, please open it already on your desktop and make sure the file COVID-19 data is saved on your computer, because we have to work with that later on. But first we're going to show you how to, what kind of visualizations you can make with this data.
Yeah, yeah. So we both created some visualizations on the data that is just available online. So it means available to everyone. And we want to show you some nice insights that we created that either are not known on the market or are not seen in the news. So it's really showing you what data can give you for extra value by looking into it. And we have some, I think, some nice things that we can show you and demo you. So yeah.
First of all, we did have a data set downloaded on the internet, which was publicly available, and it gave us all COVID cases, infections worldwide per day, based on a date. And therefore we made simple this map. What you can see is the COVID-19 cases worldwide, and the more infections there are in a country, the redder, the more red the country is. As you can imagine, some countries are bigger than others, so some tend to have more infections than others. But when you look at the Netherlands, you can see that at this date, well, actually until the 13th of September, you can see there's 170,000 cases in the Netherlands, which is a lot for a small country. But if you compare it to USA, the United States, they get 7.2 million infections already. What you can do, you can just zoom in on a certain part. I see on the other screen that we don't have the zoom yet.
Okay. Oh yeah, there
you go. So you can zoom on in a certain part, and you can just see what countries there are and how many cases they have.
Yeah, so you can click on the country if you want to. You can, even if, well, we didn't create that right now, but you could also create a click through to see cases on a certain country. So to see more topics if necessary. But this is just to show you how you can create a map and an overview of in this case, cases of COVID.
Yeah, what you also easily can do is just, I guess it's there. You can also select what you want to zoom into. It doesn't say keep only now, right?
Right click or not?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's only in the desktop version.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But yeah, as you can see, this is just how to show the work. What we're going to do now, because as you can see, Europe are like relatively small countries, but we really want to show you how Europe is developing. So we created a map of Europe, still on the same data set as we showed the world map. And what we can see here is that we want to look at Europe. Still, we look at the cumulative cases, as you can see on the top right of your screen. And what we see now is the number of cases on July 1st. Based on color, you can see that Spain is hit pretty hard. Italy, for instance, as well. And some other countries aren't hit that hard based on cumulative cases. It's not divided by the population of this country, but this is just the count. What you can do in Tableau is that you can create an animation. For instance, what we did, we put the date on a page, and actually you can show you like a small video. I hope it works. It doesn't run that fast now. Well, as you can see, and also on the top of this, the date continues. In Tableau Desktop, you can easily make sure this runs a lot faster so that you can see the color dripping in really fast. What we can do is go forward in time, and let's say look at the end of August.
Yeah.
And just play further, because then.
So actually, what it will show you is that the countries are getting darker, so meaning more cases throughout the time, meaning that we're actually in a bad situation. We are aware, of course, that certain countries have a bigger population, so it's not in percentage-wise, it only shows the total numbers. So what you see now at the end of September, it's really that Spain is hit quite hard. You can see that there's a lot of cases right now in Spain. You still see that the Netherlands is in light color, although the Netherlands is hit quite severely at the moment. But that's because it's just a small country. So in this, you always, and that's what we also want to demo with this, have to see things in relative perspective. Because now the Netherlands doesn't look like very much affected. But if you will look at percentage-wise, you will see that it's much harder affected than it shows right now. So you always have to keep in mind, okay, how am I showing my data? Is this the way I want to actually show my data? Is this what I want to get out of it? Or is this only showing partly the story? So that's what we're also showing with this. Now we see that Spain and France are hit very hard, and actually Germany is redder than the Netherlands, although we know right now that it's worse in the Netherlands than it is in Germany. And that's actually what you will show right now, right?
Yeah, what we also should take into account, which is also applicable to the slides we will show you next. This is only on the positive cases. What we don't know is how many people are tested. So like in this data set, we do have another data set in which we know how many tests were conducted. But if you know how many tests there are and how many positive cases, you can divide those two on one another. And then you get I think you get a better look on the reality. Because what we know, like when COVID just started, there weren't that many tests in the Netherlands, and nowadays many more people get tested. So it's pretty logical that the number of positive cases rises. But let's take a look at that, because what we did here was the reported cases in the Netherlands, and I will look at the 1st of March. We want to show you how it went. And as you can see on the bottom of your screen.
Shall I show it on desktop?
Okay, show it on that. I think you should take the shooting.
Yeah. But first I need to see where it is.
Because here's already still going on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, we switch to another screen just to make sure.
Okay, so now, can you see it?
Let me see. You have the.
So I took over the screen. Yeah.
Now we are in Tableau Desktop. So this is the offline version of Tableau. And here we can see the same visualizations, but then we can speed it up. So it's more visualized what you actually want to show.
Yeah, so what you can see here in the right upper corner is actually, this indicates the speed where you want to play the time lapse with. So we indicate now that we want to put it on fast, and that we will start at the 1st of March on the amount of cases by day in the Netherlands. So what you will see from the 1st of March, if I press this start, you will see the cases going up in this time period. So now I will start it, and you will see that the amount of cases in the Netherlands is running. You see that the numbers are going up, especially in the end of March, beginning of April. And actually in April it's quite high, and then we go down in May. You see that the number of cases is going down, and it's actually quite good in the summer. In June and July the number of cases is really low, but then August is coming, and then we see that the number of cases is, well, I'm talking too fast actually, but it's going up. And well, yeah, September.
And now we zoom in on the last month, so you can see how it evaluated or it developed over time.
So what you can really see, and what is really striking about this data, that actually the first peak where we were all talking about is quite low compared to the second peak. But again, here we have to be aware of what we are looking at. So we are now looking at the reported cases by day. But if you want to look at reported cases, you should actually also look at the amount of tests that are done on a daily basis. Because what we know, and what we know from the news, is that the number of tests done in the first peak was quite low, and now at this moment the number of tests, well, we will demo to you later as well, is quite high. So again, we are now looking at, like, the second wave is much higher than the first one, but it's just an indication because we don't know the background of this data. So we always have to be aware, are there other inputs or other things that have influence on my data, and do I need to show them, yes or no?
So what you can see from this image is that based on the last month, so based on September, you can see that the number of cases is really exponentially growing. So that's something which is not very good. What we also did, we also compared this to Germany, because we know they got a first peak. When you look at the news right now, they say it's different. So yeah, we can just start it.
Yeah, so this is exactly the same dashboard, but then for Germany, and then we can compare it actually to what is happening in the Netherlands.
I don't see a screen yet.
It's a bit slower, but you will see it.
Here it's already running, but I'm pretty sure you'll get the data.
Yeah, so yeah, okay. It's now appearing, but I actually run it in the same way as we did for the Netherlands. Then you see in Germany, of course, the reported cases in Germany are higher because it's a lot bigger country than the Netherlands. So population-wise, there are more people, and there's also more tests conducted. But then you actually see that the second peak, or actually the lack of a second peak, is really a big difference compared to the Netherlands. So that's really what is happening in the Netherlands right now, is that first of all we test more, and second of all we really have a lot more cases. In Germany they already tested a lot of people in the first wave. Oh shit. Wait.
All right.
Can you take over?
I think Marcel is
dropped out
of this meeting. So let me show let me share my screen again. We'll be right back on that. Yeah, so that's what Marcel showed us. What you could also do with Tableau is like make a correlation matrix, which is pretty easy to make and just really intuitive to see what we got. What we try to understand is whether there's a correlation between the density of a country and the infection rate. Because our assumption was that whenever you got more people grouped together per square kilometer, which is the average density, you would expect more infections, actually. For example, when you live somewhere in a closed city like Amsterdam, the risk of getting infected would be a lot higher when living somewhere in the somewhere on the mainland on a farm, for example. So that's what we did. We actually took the average density of each country, also freely available online, and we looked at the infection rate, cumulative. But what we see was that there was no clear correlation between those two, because when you live in Singapore, for example, you get a lot of people per square kilometer, but the infection rate is relatively low, especially compared to Qatar, for example, where the density is really low, but the infection rate is pretty high. So we didn't see any clear difference in here. Therefore, we try to make another correlation, which is more intuitive, but shows you how a real correlation looks like. As you can see, here we looked at the cases, the reported cases of each country, cumulative until the 30th of September, and we looked at the deaths of corona. And what you can see is you got like a diagonal line based on this, and based on this line, you can see there's a real correlation between the two. Unfortunately, United States comes out worst with a lot of deaths. But here you can see that there is a real correlation between the number of cases and deaths.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense, but it's just to show you how a correlation looks like in Tableau. Later on, first we go to another part which really digs into the current situation in the Netherlands, but will show you how to create those graphs, those 6, within Tableau Desktop yourselves.
Yeah, so that we will do that right after we do a deep dive in the Netherlands. So actually, I would like to show the other one first.
Oh, is it that one?
Yeah. Yeah. So what we will look into now is actually the number of tests done in the Netherlands, because we know that the number of tests are going up quite quickly in the last few weeks. And actually we got data from the 21st of July until the end of September to look into what is happening test-wise in the Netherlands. So what you can see here is just a graph of how many tests are conducted by week. And you see actually that from the 21st of July, each week the number of tests actually went up and went more and more, and it even more than tripled over time, over just a couple of weeks.
Because this is non-accumulated data, right?
Yeah. So it's just showing you each week how many people are tested. And now you can see really in the Netherlands that the amount of tests went up quite severe. And that also explains why that second wave that we saw in the graph of the Netherlands before is actually really high. So this is sort of showing you what else you need to look at if you want to look into the data of the Netherlands. And then we looked actually at a split of men and women, and then also on the age. So, and this is a very interesting topic, I think, because it really shows, so we're now, it's a time lapse again. So on the side, you can see we're now currently at the 21st of July, the date we first get data for the amount of tests done. You can see here that it is the amount of tested men and the amount of tested positive men is on this side, and here the amount of tested women and the amount of tested positive women is on this side. You can see also in the colors that it is, I actually translated this to English, but probably did something wrong there. But so the blue one shows the men, the orange one shows the women for the top one, and the red one shows the amount of positive tests for men, and the green one shows the amount of positive tests for women. And if we actually put this time lapse on, it will look on a weekly basis the amount of tests is done. In the bottom, because I actually forget to tell you this, but there's the age group. So you see all the different age groups that we have in the data set. So it shows you from 0 to 4 years old, from 5 to 9 years old. And each group has a different amount of tests done and an amount of positive tests. So I want to show you how over time this is actually changing. So if we run the time range, you can actually see that, especially in the last couple of weeks, the amount of tests went up very fast. You can see actually. And then in the end, because it's actually going quite fast right now, but in the end, I will show you again, it really goes fast because from August onwards, if I then run it again. So yeah, I get a question on what's the difference between the top one and the bottom one. So the top one is the amount of people tested, and the lower one is the amount of people that are tested positive, meaning they have COVID. So what it shows you actually is that the amount of people tested that, well, one thing that I want to actually demo first is the amount of tests that are done, that women test more than men. You can almost see that on every age group, the amount of women that did the COVID test is higher than men. It's only not the case for the 5 to 9 years old and the 10 to 14 years old. In all the other cases, it's either equal or women let them test it more. You can also see that in the age group of 30 to 34 years old, that's actually the age group that tests the most. So these people are yeah, feeling sick, going to the doctor or going to a place where they can test themselves and let themselves test it. But if you look at the bottom one, you can actually see that the amount of people in this age group that get COVID is not the highest one. So meaning, yeah, that this group, although they are feeling sick, not a lot of them have COVID. What we do see is actually that the group of 20 to 24 years old, where I think most of the people in this call are in, is actually quite high. So there you see that they let them test less than the age group of 30 to 34. But the amount of cases that are tested positive is both for men and women the highest by far, actually. And if we look further into detail into this, so if we look at the tested positive, and we look per group, it's loading. Don't drop out. Yeah. So what we
it's still on the 21st.
Yeah, okay. So if I will go to the end because there we get where we stand at this right moment. So what we see is we actually indicated at the top of each bar how many cases there were positive per age group. And we show in percentage of the people in that age group that were tested, how many were positive. So if we look at the age group of 20 to 24, we actually see that 5.5% of all the people that get themselves tested are positive, which is way higher than in any other group that is tested. And it's quite striking to me because actually our government is telling us that these age groups yeah, are not really contagious and cannot really yeah, give COVID to other people. But if we look into the data, we actually see that this is the biggest group of infected people. So it's strange to see actually that that this group is really causing a lot of positive tests, and that other groups are significantly lower actually. And you see also that in the youngers, so in the young ones, it's quite low, and that's also what they are saying in the news, that okay, so young people, yeah, they don't really have an influence of COVID. Well, you can actually indicate from this data, you can never be certain, of course, but you can indicate that that is really the case. But then the group from 15 until the age group until 24 is really a part that is contagious and that really can get COVID and give it to other people. So that's really striking about this data. Then we have one more view in this part where I just want to show how you can look into data. So we have one last one where it's actually showing, and this is again, but I will put it to the end because otherwise we have again a time lapse. So we've created a lot of time lapse so you can see it growing over time.
It should work, but
yeah, the computers are a bit heating up here. So is it now working or not?
No, it doesn't work. The funny thing is that the day does move, but the graph doesn't.
Yeah, so what actually I wanted to show in the, oh, well, now it's moving, yeah, but it's
goes a bit.
So what it shows, it's actually saying at the bottom, it's the number of tests conducted per age group and the number of positive tests per age group. So you get, yeah, so now we're at the end, and you can actually see that in the group of 20 to 24, there's a total of 190,663 tested, and there's more than 10,000 that have actually found positive with COVID. And then you see that in the age group of 30 until 34, there's really the biggest group of people tested, but the amount of positive tests is significantly lower than in the 20 to 24 age group.
Again, what's funny is that, like, your first reaction would be the group of 30 to 34 do the most tests. But it would be funny to just add an extra data set on which tells us how many people there are in the Netherlands between those ages. And you can see what percentage of the population get tested, and then on what percentage get tested positive.
Yeah.
We don't have this data right now, but you can check online where it's freely available and just add it to the dashboard to get more value out of it.
Yeah, you can also add information on where we actually looked at for a moment was on the education level. Does an education level show you different data for people, or yeah. So things like that you can add yourself if you think, hey, this might be something of influence on my data, and you can find a relationship between your existing data and that data set. You can just add it in and yeah, create a visualization to show you if there's any correlation or any relationship between those two yeah, numbers actually. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is a short case where, so yeah, that was about the tests that were done. And actually, we also create a visualization per city, or actually municipality in the Netherlands, where you can see the amount of cases on of COVID. So we created one on the amount of people hospitalized per municipality and on the total reported in the Netherlands. But actually, before we start this, I actually want to show you something really simple, because we're showing you a lot of dashboards right now. But what you can also do is show the pure data. So if people want to get insights on pure data and they don't want to see dashboards, they just want to download data or want to get access through data, you can create that as well. Because we tend to forget that it's possible. But I just want to highlight this, that if you want that, or if a company wants that, it's also a possibility to create it like this. We just had the months here in the top. We see every municipality that is available in the Netherlands, and we see the amount of, I don't know what is chosen here, but I think this is the amount of reported cases per month per municipality.
Yeah.
So that's just a background story that I want to show you as well.
What you to add on that, what you could do is whenever you get this visualization, you can just put two next to them. And for example, when you click on Zetogenbos, which is this municipality or just in, you can just add another visualization which reacts on that, which shows you a graph or something else. So you can filter your whole dashboard based on visualizations, and you can link them to each other. It's more advanced, so we won't get into that today. But yeah, there are many options in Tableau to make it more interactive and intuitive.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I want to highlight first actually in this data set is that there's a few municipalities that are not showing. The reason for this is that these municipalities are lately joined together and they created a new municipality, so the name changed, and then Tableau is either not updated yet to contain that name, or you can just change it manually in the data set if you want to. But I wanted to show it like this, because then you can really see that sometimes this is also happening. So you have some data available on a certain region, and that region either changed name or the name is written incorrectly. So there is a typo in the name, and then it doesn't appear. So that's really where you need to, as a data scientist, clean up your data and make sure that everything is correctly. correct in your data so that you can really work with the data. Because if there's a typo, you get something like this. So this municipality in Friesland in the north, it's probably either joined with another municipality and therefore it's not visible right now in our data.
Or it's a typo, which is pretty good possible with all those
Friesland.
names in Friesland.
Yeah, no, that's also true. Yeah, so I just want to show you that as well, that is something you will run into quite often, that there's either that you need to modify your data, but it's also something that is quite easily possible and that we can demo to you shortly. Yeah. So what it's shown here is actually the amount of people that are hospitalized. I want to actually you to think about where you would join this with. So if you have this data on people hospitalized, first of all, you want to, of course, know how many people are in that municipality. So what you would do is you would get data online on, okay, where is this municipality? How many people are living there? So that you can actually, and if you have, you can even look at the demographics of a city. How many elderly people are there? How many elderly people are hospitalized? So there's a lot of information on the internet that you can actually join and that you could put in here. For this moment, I will just show you that there's a peak in the beginning and that it's now getting darker again in the ends. But it's a bit of, I don't know if it's
around June.
Yeah, so
you can see it right now.
You really can see that it's really going upwards somewhere in the end of March, beginning of April. And then actually everything is turning back to light green again, so meaning going quite well. And then you will see that at the end of the data, so if the time lapse is going further, you will see in the end that some areas, and especially the big cities in the west, are slightly getting darker, meaning that they have more cases coming up. And now you can really see at the end that they are getting darker, but most certainly not comparable to if we look, for instance, in March. Oh, I need to do it here. So you see here in April and in the end of March that it's really already a darker color. And you can also see that the south that was hit severely in the beginning is lighting up here. So that's some data that you can show. But you can even create relationships between the education level or the GDP per capita. You can look into that if you want to, and that's really interesting about public data. You can just show everything that you want, and you can find relationships that people haven't found before. So that's shortly on what we have. The total reported looks the same, but if I look into the time, we really want to start, I think, with the demo.
Yeah. Before we go to the demo or the hands-on, because now you have to do it. Let's check if there are any questions so far.
Oh yeah.
Maybe there are.
Yeah. So let me have a look. So I actually. I answered this question.
Yeah, it was about the tests between men and women.
Yeah. So there actually are no questions at the moment. We've seen our colleague Nadine has also joined. Hi, Nadine.
Hi, Nadine. How are you? All right. So let's go to the hands-on. Maybe it's good that you share your screen again because you got the empty sheet on your laptop.
Yeah.
So feel free just to open your Tableau desktop application and make sure you got your Excel sheet saved somewhere on your laptop. So we can first open the data sheet and then show you how to make some visualizations.
Do you have it open on yours? Because mine, it's really, I think it will collapse again, but we can see.
Let me check. So far I just shared my screen. Let me open Tableau quick.
Ja, ik denk dat hij weer gaat vallen dan, want hij zit ook aardig te blazen. Heb jij Tableau daar staan of moet ik het proberen?
So as you can see, I just go along with you. I open Tableau desktop. Maybe it's a good way, so we can show you how to make those visualizations.
Yeah.
What you do is, I think you don't have those well, it should be the case, you don't have those visualizations. So you just open Tableau and you can choose whether you want to connect to a certain file. Just feel free to ask your questions directly into the chat, or if you have a quick question, you can just unmute and ask your questions right away, because yeah, I think this is really hands-on. It would be good to do it like in person, but yeah, we have to do it from a distance. When you want to connect to a file, you can just choose which file you just want to have, but so far it's just a Microsoft Excel file. So you click on that, it says where do you want to get your data from, and actually this is the one I sent to you. So when you click on it, it will open this file. Goes to execute it, and there you have it. So now you see that you have a connection with this Microsoft Excel file. It's already dragged into this this file where you can normally join your data. You can have a quick look on what's in it. What you can do next is just click on Sheet.
Well, just to indicate for you as well, that in the top you can also choose what kind of data it is. So you can choose the data type that you want to have. And although Tableau is doing this automatically, and most of the time it's correct, sometimes it's done incorrectly. So it sees a date as a number or something else. So always make sure that you check your data here and make sure that it does show the correct data type.
Yeah, what is really important for creating a map is that your geographical data is set good. As you can see here with the globe, you can see it's geographic data, and this is called a country or a region. What we showed you before with Netherlands, it's on county level, so you actually have to put it to county just to make sure that it loads the right data.
Yeah.
But whenever the country now is put on geographical country, we're good to go.
Yeah, and if you create your data and it's set incorrectly, it will just not show on the map. So that is for you an indication then that you probably need to change the setting of your data. So always check your data then first and see if it's set on the right geographical location. If not, then
we do have a question. The continent is not the same here. Yeah, that's true, but because the continent isn't a default thing you can set in Tableau. So as you can see, there are just a few geographical roles you can give to a certain metric or a certain column. Here it doesn't say continent, for example. So what we use it for, you can now use it in your filter, and whenever you got a map, you can say, okay, I want to put my continent in a filter and only filter out Europe. That's what we did for the Europe visualization. Yeah, it's pretty sharp. You can do that.
yeah.
What we can do to make a visualization, you need to go to a sheet. And what we said before, you immediately see the difference between dimensions, which are in top, and the measures you can see below. What is really easy to do is, for example, when we want to make a map, you can put your country onto the rows, which you can either do by drop it here, or you can drop it in your rows. You can both have the same result. And here you can see all the different countries which are in the data set. And for example, you can show the cumulative cases. You can drop it there. As you can see, those numbers are really high, and it's because we accumulated over days. So for example, Argentina doesn't have 30 million cases, but it's the sum of every day within this data set. So when we only want to see the cases of the last day, we have to take date, drag it to filters, and just make sure we select a range of dates. When we do that and click on next, it says, what do you want to select? And as you can see, there's data within this data set from the 1st of January to the 30th of September. But when we just drag this to the 3rd of September, we only got the last date. Apply and OK. And now you see that Argentina, where is it? It's right here, has 700,000 cases, which is more logical than what we had before.
30 million, yeah.
The only thing we should do now, because we do have like a clear table with countries and the number of cases, we can change our visual by clicking on Show Me on the right top of your screen. And whenever you click on that, you do have the options colored, which you can choose. So you won't be able to choose an area chart because you don't have enough information for that. But what you could do is you could choose the map.
Yeah, can you also show what other things? So if you choose another one, for instance, first,
yeah,
what it will look like?
Yeah, for example, what we do have right now is the text table.
Yeah.
But what if you click on the bars? Then actually it shows you the number of cumulative cases, but then the more cases, the longer the bar is. And you have to scroll down to see the different countries.
Because there are a lot, yeah.
There are a lot. What you could do is make sure you sort them, like the highest to the lowest, or just the other way around. So it's really intuitive what you can do with it. But still, if you want to have those countries, you want to see it on a map. So let's click on the map. It takes its time. Click again on Show Me to make sure it disappears. And what you can see right now is that you can see the number of cumulative cases in the world. What it automatically does is that it gives the sum of the cumulative cases, it puts to the color, so you can actually see the darker it gets, the darker the more cases you have. Mm-hmm.
You can change the color if you want to. If you don't like the color, you can just.
If you want to make it a bit more dramatic, you can make it red, for example.
Yeah, like you did.
Yeah, like I did. So you can just, let me show it again. Click on the drop-down menu, edit colors, and select a certain range of colors you'd like to have. So for example, when we click on red, that's what we get. Click on apply, okay, and now it's red. When you hover over with your mouse, you can see it says country, cumulative cases, for example. This is called a tooltip. And we do have the option to also change the tooltip just by clicking on tooltip on the left on the marks panel. And when we click on that, we're able to just type in whatever we want. So, for example, when we don't want the underscore, or we don't want it to be bold, you can just easily put it out. We can put in DEX 2020, for example. When you click on OK, you can see that the change has already been made. Now you only get cumulative cases. You could also, for example, show the average population of this country by easily drag and drop it to the tooltip. Make sure it's not the sum of the population, but the average, because every day has got the same population. And now you can easily edit by typing population, insert the population, which we dragged onto the tooltip, and press OK. And what you can see now is that, for example, in America, you see that there are 7 million cases, but there are 329 million people in the country. So, and what you could even do is make a calculated field to calculate how many people are infected within the country, how many people of the population. We won't go into that today because it will be more advanced and too much to tell you right now. But this is just an easy and quick way to show you how to go on with the visualizations.
Yeah, so and what it really demonstrates, it's really nice, is that you can actually quite fast get a map with an overview of data. So you can quite fast get insights into data already, and you can deep dive further afterwards. But you see that in what is 5 minutes less, you can create a visualization that gives you insights on data. And that's really how Tableau got me. It was so easy and straightforward to create this. And then you can go further and deep dive further. And that's really what I like about Tableau, that you really can easily create some insights, and then you can deep dive further into those insights and look, okay, where is it really coming from? What do I want to see next? what is related to this. So what I really want to highlight is how quick and nice Tableau is, and that is, I think, really a nice feature compared to Power BI, where you really need to gain a lot of knowledge first before you can really start building things.
Yeah, true.
So that's what we mostly want to demonstrate with this one, and then I think we also want to look at the Netherlands and Germany, how you create those.
That's good. What's nice before, because we got a question about the continent, what we could do is, for example, the continent, it says ABC, which means it's a string value. But what if we put it into the filter and say, okay, just show me Europe, because that's the only thing I want to see. You can easily just drag it to the filter. This screen opens automatically. Press or actually check Europe and click OK. And what it does, it changes the colors, because you still want to color it by cumulative cases, but now only for Europe. We can easily click with your right button on Russia and say exclude, because it's such a big country, so it doesn't really
influence your data.
Yeah, it influences a lot. So we can exclude Russia and see what's left. And this is how we created the map of Europe.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hands-on, pretty easy to create.
And then you see again that this is another level of looking into the data, because on the whole world map, Europe was really light colored. And if you go into detail, so if you go look into Europe, then it creates another standard and another average of coloring. And then you see that in Europe, when you get into detail, you get also in Europe more insights on what is happening there.
Yeah. Another way, because there are many ways to get to what you want to have. Hopefully this goes back. You could also, for example, select what you want to keep. Make sure I don't get Russia. And you can select it, right click and say keep only. And then you drill down to the countries you select. So that's another way to get it. So as I told you, there are many ways to create whatever you want, and it's really intuitive what to do. Yeah, there are no questions. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, thanks. That's what we think. It's really nice, really easy to make. Let's take a look at the graph we made for the Netherlands, the animated graph, to see how many cases we have. What we did is, sorry, maybe I go too fast. Just click on this sign, like the sheet with the plus, to open a new sheet. Wait, there's a question.
Yes, so we see a question on, I want to look inside, insight on the Netherlands. So yeah, well, this data that we loaded right now is only on country level. So if you want to get insight into the Netherlands, you either need to join data on the Netherlands specifically. So you get data per province or per municipality, as I showed in the last Tableau dashboard. But in this case, so in the one we are visualizing right now, there's no data on municipality or province level.
No.
So we cannot go into detail in the Netherlands, but if you add that, then you can definitely go into detail. So that's either looking for another data set online that contains that, and then you can put it in and either join it to your existing data, or you can make a separate dashboard where you focus on the Netherlands, like we did.
Yeah. Well, I see we only have 9 minutes left, so
yeah,
let's quickly go to this visualization and wrap up.
Yeah.
For the animation on how many cases we have in the Netherlands, it's just easy to take your date, because we know everything is saved on date. So put your date and drag it to the columns. And with your right click, you can select what you want. And I really want to have it on day. So right click on year and then go to day. And now you can see from the 1st of January until the 30th of September, all dates are there. And now I want to see the number of cases. So I put cases, actually just drag it until I see like the square. And then that's that. And I want that you show me the bars. So click on show me, click on bars. And I want to swap my axis. So that's why I can click on this. As you can see, there are many dates in this visual. So what I do, I really want to fit it to the screen. So where it's set at standard, you can drop down. Let's say fit width. So you make sure it just fits on one screen. But this is the data for all countries. But I just only want to see it for the Netherlands. So I put country into filter. You just drag and drop it to filters. It opens. You can either draw down and look for it, or you can just search the text, type Netherlands, check it, press OK. And this is the number of cases we see in the Netherlands. Still, it's not an animation, but it's just the number of cases per day spread out over your screen. What you could do is you could select your date again and move to pages. Here it says that it wants to show it by year, but we actually don't want to do it by year. So we drop down here and say, let's show it by, for example, week. We did it with days in the presentation.
Yeah.
You can do it by week.
You can do it on every kind of level. So if you want to show it on a certain level, you can choose that there, and it will show it like that. And then you can, on the right, you can actually decide how fast you want to show it. So do I want to have a slow version or a fast version? So that's what is highlighting now.
Let's do it fast.
Yeah, and then if you press the play button, you will see that.
But wait,
Oh, no, it's only showing weeks.
So that's what we did, showing week, but we want to show the history as well.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that box. Put it again, and the 1st of January, 6th in this case, and play again. Oh. And it doesn't show the history, which is strange because it should. All. Yeah, I guess we should select it all.
Okay.
And we don't want to fade. None. Check. So what if we try to do it? As you can see, there's just many to select and many to change. Sometimes it's just, search for it and try, because it's really intuitive. As you can see, this is it for the Netherlands. Is there anyone, before we wrap up, who wants to see it for another country? Just feel free, because the first one who's in the chat box, we pick their country. I'm just really interested in what...
India.
India, okay. So let's edit the filter.
Yeah.
None, because we don't want to have another country, and search for India. Okay. So, well, this is India, but we can also, again, animate this from the start per week. So this is India at the moment. And as you can see, only a week ago, they have 80,000 cases per day. And at the top, you had like 100,000 cases per day.
Yeah, so you see that there's there's a big difference with Europe. For first of all, that you see there's a big wave actually, and that it seems like the peak is over, but it's really well, hopefully that's the case. But it's really showing you some different insights, and you can see how just easily you can just change your filter and get a whole new country in there, and you can also make that filter visible in your view. So if you do show filter, you can actually see all the countries in there. And if you do single value dropdown, that allows the viewer. So if somebody is a viewer, not a creator, it allows the viewer to make a selection of the countries that it wants to see. So you don't have to create a dashboard for every single country. You just create one where you put the country into filter and show the filter, and then users are allowed to actually change the filter and see which country they want to look into, which is very intuitive if you're working in a business and you are in a certain part, or you're responsible for a certain area, say Europe. You can select Europe and look into Europe, while your colleague who is responsible for Asia can select Asia, and you can use the same dashboard.
Yeah.
So that's really very intuitive and very helpful. Then, yeah, really at the end, and it's going faster than we thought actually. So we went through all the questions, so we can skip that part.
Yep.
So what we actually want to tell you is, yeah, Tableau offers free data as well, which you can find on Tableau. It will show you with the toolbar and then to help, and then you see sample workbooks. Those workbooks are really nice because they are really connected correctly to all the geographical roles and all the other rules within the data. So it means you don't have to check your data. The data is correct already. And you can make really nice visualizations or graphs or whatever you want to see, or even stories, which we didn't went into in this session, but stories are also really nice where you can create a sort of overview of different things that happened in one big view, which is really nice as well. But what we showed you right now was really the basics of Tableau and how fast Tableau can help you out with getting insights into data. I hope you all find it very interesting, and if you really like it, go explore Tableau yourself. You can really do a lot yourself, find online tools as well, and if you want us to help you out further, you can always contact us. We give masterclasses on Tableau where we can deep dive with you into the parts that you like, or where you can see yeah, the data yourself. I see there's a question now on, is there any student license? I do think there are student licenses where you get with your student number
maybe a certain discount, but
yeah, a discount at least to use it for the first year. I have to. We will check that actually.
Well, you do need to create a license to make those dashboards and publish them online.
Yeah.
But maybe you can have like a discount whenever you're a student with your number.
Yeah, so well, you can find it online, but I do know there is something with students. You either get a discount or you get a viewer license for a year for free, something like that.
Yeah, cheers. Let's take a beer.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you very much all for joining. I think yeah, if there are any questions or you want to connect with us, feel free to either send us an email or give us a message on LinkedIn. We will gladly help you out further.
Yeah.
And if you want to get any information on Tableau and on Tableau user cases, we will help you out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for joining.
Yeah.
So I hope it just like what we discussed is pretty clear. But yeah, see a lot of thank you. Wish you good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we hope that you are now contained with the Tableau virus, which is a good virus to have. That will, yeah, make you choose Tableau in the future.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and hope to see you in response. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.